I thought I'd give you guys a quick walkthrough of the new software for the for 360, which covers the UC1 and the UF8. So we've had huge success with this product, and a lot of great feedback has been coming back from a lot of our customers, and we wanted to implement a lot of that. So the version 1.3 is now available as a free download for users of the UC1 and the UF8. So what we brought into the table is a lot more integration. A lot of clients were asking us, can you do more integration into this? So as you guys already know, the UF8 basically mirrors what's happening in Pro Tools. So when you open your session in Pro Tools, you're effectively seeing all of the variables that is happening inside Pro Tools. You can see whatever plugins are available on every channel. So if I say, okay, show me this channel over here, tell me what's on plugin 1. So you notice there's a bus compressor there. If I want to see the parameters of the bus compressor, go into the main menu. There's the bus compressor details right there, and then I can bank left and right and see all my available parameters. So this is typical of how Pro Tools, specifically Pro Tools, handles its features. And this, of course, applies to every manufacturer. So we're not just talking about our plugins, we're talking about anyone's plugins. So when we look at, for example, here, I just opened up another plugin. These are the parameters for the DigiDesign EQ. And what I'm doing is I'm banking through, and here's my high frequency, for example, and I'm adjusting my high frequency EQ. This is pretty typical of a control surface features.
Yeah, it's great to have that integration.
Yeah.
The seamless connection.
Everything is seamless. Now, what we realized right away is a lot of people like to mix on an SSL. The experience of mixing on an SSL is actually how everything is laid out. So what we decided to add with the new software is this new feature here, which is called the 360 mixer. Now this was available on the previous version of the software, but what we've done now is we've added a layer for the UF8. So as you know, the UF8 is multi-layered, so we can go from Pro Tools to a Logic layer to a Studio One layer. But what I did is I assigned one of the layers to the 360 mixer. Now notice how much more detail is available now. I can see the full name as it's reflected in Pro Tools versus the abbreviated one, which is typical of Huey. We've expanded way beyond that now, so I can now see a lot more detail. Notice I can see my plugins compression. I can see a lot more detail than I would normally see. And the whole idea of this is to give you that same level of integration an SSL console provides me. So I could see a lot more detail now just by going into this layer and controlling these features. Now the other nice thing about this is if I select, show me this channel's details, it lights up that channel. I could select that here as well, or I could select that from Pro Tools. So if I close this window down, the same is reflected here. Notice everything is just linked up perfectly together. I can even do it from this controller here, which is the UC1. This is the control surface for our plugins. So effectively what I did in this session is I gave it, every channel I gave it an SSL channel strip. And now I'm seeing that detail available to me here. So there's this lovely synchronization that takes place between all of these controllers.
Yeah.
With the whole idea of the being able to look down and just think about your mix, think about mixing. Yes, of course, you can do everything inside your digital workstation, but focus has its advantages on a particular task.
And I also expect for like workflow, you know, for people wanting to be creative, this doesn't...
Precisely.
You know, sometimes the mouse can slow you down going between menus, but if you have the controls in front of you, it's a different ballgame, isn't it?
what it does is it's the right focus for the right task. Because you could do everything in Pro Tools, you could do everything in your DAW, but trying to focus on mixing is a particular art to it, and a particular tool works best for that. On the other side of this booth, we've got the Origin console, and we got people remixing songs within minutes, and they're shocked at how great the result is. Well, shouldn't be a shock, because the desk is purpose-built for mixing. So by doing it this way, by creating this interface, it's kind of focusing your mind towards that task. And integrating that in the controller.
Fantastic.
Gives you that tactile feel.
Excellent. Well, thank you for showing us that. Do you have anything else we can have a look at?
Yeah, actually, I thought I'd show you a quick run-through of the BUS Plus. Unless you've been under a rock for the last 40 years, you have heard of BUS Compressor, because there's a lot of mixes that are made with SSL BUS compressors. So it was a really big deal when it came to reinventing the BUS compressor. So the BUS Plus is the new generation BUS compressor. What we did is we sat down and figured out a lot of different things we always wanted to do, and we've integrated them into this new unit called the BUS Plus. So first of all, it is a traditional BUS compressor. Notice that it lights up on one side when you're in this mode called Classic Stereo. The reason for that is because it works like the traditional one, where left and right is being controlled by one set of controls. There's a number of new elements that we've added to this BUS compressor. The first one is feedback. The standard BUS compressor is feed-forward style compression. We added a feedback style compression, which gives it a slightly different reaction time, so it's not as grabby as the traditional BUS compressor. Different styles of music kind of require some of that sometimes, so we added that mode for that reason. Another thing we added is low THD, which typically on most BUS compressors, they will, you'll get harmonic distortion on low end before the rest of the content. And especially on like very low ratios. So if you're doing very low amount of compression, subtle compression, it kind of comes out. You notice the bottom end gets a little bit more harmonic there, a little bit more distortion. So we added this mode here to actually roll that out so that you don't have that result. And if you're doing mastering, for example, where your job isn't necessarily to reinvent the character of the sound as much as to control it, this is key. Key for mastering. So these two modes really lend themselves to reinventing the character of the BUS compressor. Now, another character thing that we added is the so-called the 4K mode. Now, the original BUS compressor, most people don't realize, it's actually an unbalanced compressor. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to add that character of the original 4K, but we wanted to give it new harmonic options. So when you hold this button down, okay, it starts to blink. You can audition up to 9 different levels of harmonics, and the red one being the most aggressive.
Yeah, nice.
Each one has a little bit more harmonic style, giving you even more options. And when you select that down, now you've selected that mode.
Oh, it's wonderful to have that extra feature. I know your mixers and the sound card I have over there has the 4K.
That's right, 4K
switch.
Exactly.
But here you have a lot more dexterity over that.
That's right. You have way more control over that. So it's a little bit of what you see in the SSL2 interface, but it's blown out completely. Lots of different options available on that. Now, something else we also added is the sidechain filter. So this sidechain filter was never available on the rack mount. We added it to this one. You've got gain controls as well, because you've got a high and low frequency EQ, dynamic EQ. Now this dynamic EQ actually focuses its frequency range by holding this button down. I'm able to select a frequency range I want to focus on, and once I do that, the content
Hey, how you
drives
doing?
the filter.
Hey, there I am.
So if there's more of that
God, is that what I
frequency in
sound
the
like?
sound, you're able to either
No, but one thing
expand it
that I really
or
enjoy
compress
about
it.
working on this console.
So it's using
the thing
dynamics
sounds great.
to
It's a
alter
great sounding console.
EQ curves.
It's
a really, really
immediately familiar
expressive
to
way
me,
of
having
working
worked
with
on
EQ.
SSL
Yeah,
my
like
whole career.
honing in on a particular.
I sat down at this console and it was just like,
We're going to be
no
we're going to be in
problems.
competition.
Yeah,
We're going to
but
be in
what I really
competition
like
with this,
about
I'm
it
afraid.
is the ability
So
for me
the
to
other thing I want to
create
mention is you've got the
That's
sidechain
what we're
stereo
listening
mode,
to. So you'll notice
which
in this section,
triggers
you see
more
there's no
on mono
plugins.
content.
So this is
Then
actually going
there's
through
the classic
from
mode.
the Pro Tools rig,
There's the
coming
dual
into the
mono mode,
console,
which allows you to
whatever I did
use
to it at that
every
time on the
channel
console.
discretely. So
then
it becomes
once I was
2-channel
finished with the
compressors,
mix,
basically.
I just stemmed it
And the
out.
last mode, which is called the mid-side mode,
Basically,
this is a mid-side
1 to 32,
processor as well
boom,
as a
and
bus
there you go,
compressor.
1 to
So
32,
your side
or the
and your
stems.
mid
And
sections
when I
are
do bigger
side and
mixes,
your mid over
how I
there.
normally have it
you've got
set
your
up,
sort of
I'll
mono
have 1 to
signal down the
32 on my
center,
large
then you'll sort of-
faders.
That's right. If
the
you want
32 to
to
64 on my
expand
small
the side
And when I
signal,
need to
make it
send that out,
wider, for
two
example,
passes of the tape.
you have that control.
You just direct out 1 to 32.
Well, they
and
look
then direct out
fantastic.
33 to
I really want
64.
all of them.
And the ability
Maybe
to
one
make
day.
stems.
We got Tom Lord Algie right now.
And it's like you
Excellent.
walk
Well,
in,
thank you
here's
very
your
much for
mix.
showing us, Fady. That was a great show.
Thank you so much.
take that.
Take care.